welcome. Today we have Leo with us on the podcast, and I cannot wait to hear her story. I haven't heard her story yet, and we actually met on the Instagram world.
Yay!
Yeah, like 2020. It was so random. I can't even remember how we
Mm,
came across each other's profiles.
I think it was through Vanessa Lau that I saw your profile, I think.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. We connected through another Asian influencer, Vanessa Lau, and then we talked to each other somehow. I think you must have shared that you left your job, and then maybe I reached out to you or
Yeah.
something on Instagram, and
hmm
then we started connecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was during that time that, and I shared with Leo before we got started, it's like, I remember I was sitting at the bench in front of the office on the common area outside, and I was just Instagramming her, on DMing her, and we got to the point that we got so excited to talk to each other. Like, I knew of your story, that's exactly where I wanted to be, and you've already jumped the boat to leave the corporate world, and you're in Vietnam, I think, at that point, doing coaching and traveling the world and doing the digital nomad life. And I was just so inspired by your story. And then here we are again sharing your version of the story, so that we can really impact other people who are feeling the same way and feeling some sort of the same frustration in their
Yeah.
jobs. So, welcome, Leo. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Really thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And I know you're doing great things and you're impacting lives every day. So I'm excited to be a small part of it today.
Thank you so much.
My
And so
pleasure.
let's jump right into your story. Share with us what you did and then what you're doing now.
Sure. So basically, my dream of being an entrepreneur was definitely instilled in me, I think around when I was 23, 24, maybe around 22. I moved down to Atlanta for college. I'm from Vietnam, but I grew up in Michigan. And, being there, I feel like my world was very small, just growing up, going to church and whatnot. But I think when I left Michigan and going on my own, something started on the inside of me. And when I first went to college, I remember I was approached by a couple of people regarding a network marketing business. But I think that time I was just too young, immature. I was all about the party life. Who cares about making money and living the best life there is? So I just passed on to those people. And I remember when I was working at Whole Foods, I was approached by this gentleman, and something about him just struck a chord with me, and he asked if I was looking for an opportunity. So he asked to be in touch, and I literally gave him, like, I think I was so tempted to give him the wrong email just to get him off my back. But I'm so glad I gave him the right email because he connected to my sponsor that was also Vietnamese. She's in Michigan, and I joined this business venture, and my life has never been the same, Suzanne, because I met some incredible mentors that were instilling into me. And I think some of the most amazing people you can meet in terms of a mentor and a coach is someone who believes in you before you can believe in yourself, right? Because a lot of times when you're stepping out and stepping into something new, your self-belief level is like down here. It's completely zero. And at that point, I was going through a lot in my life. But my mentors would, the way that she looked at me, I could tell that Leo has some potential that needs to be brought out. And so I joined this business venture. The first 3 years were very rough because when you're in the business, you're not just learning how to sell products, but you're also learning how to build a team. And that was the introduction of me learning how to work with people and having a soft heart because I have a very strong, straightforward personality. So even though I've always said, oh, I love people, but I wasn't great at building people. And in a business world, especially when you're building a team, it's not about just bringing people in the team, it's about retaining them. And I really learned how to bring the best out of my team. And 3 years, it was such a struggle running around, meeting different people, networking. No one would stay in my business. Yeah, of course, you were rough, you were harsh, you were sharp, you were just mean to people. It was just literally, hey, it's about Leo. I gotta drive the sales, right? It was very mechanical. But bottom line is it's about love and it's about having that genuineness in your heart and your intention as you served. So I learned that after 3 years, and I met the most incredible person. He was Burmese. And the Burmese community in Nepalese just started migrating into the US. And he was a pure leader. Within 3 months, my business took off. I had one of the biggest businesses there locally. And it was just amazing to see like a flood of people coming into my team. You know why? Because I learned how to love people. I heard a quote from this amazing speaker. She says, some people come into your life for a reason, others for a season. Very few people come into your life for a lifetime. And then I wanted to add to that quote and say, when the people who come into your life just for a reason, right? And what was that reason? And the ones who come into your life for a lifetime or a short time, like even a short time, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or a couple of months in my business. Did I treat them well? Did I love them? Did I do my very best to instill the most amazing things into them and call the best things out of them, right? Or was I just about my business? If you're not going to cater to me, if you don't do anything for me, gosh, like get out. I don't want to see you. Like internally, are you feeling that? So I really had to learn how to take my love walk to the next level in my words, in my actions, in my attitude. And during that project, that was when I knew I don't want to work a 9 to 5. Like working 9 to 5 until you're 65 or until you die. Dude, that sounds depressing. Like, God, take me to heaven right now. I'm done. Like, I don't want to do that. And I know we all have different desires and dreams, but something was just birthed on the inside of me. I want to have this life of freedom. I want to impact people. I want to be a speaker. And I didn't know that I had a speaking gift when I first joined the business and we would go to different meetings. The meeting was just maybe 20, 25, and then bigger local meetings were like maybe 100. So every time I got on stage just to share a snippet of a book, I was so fired up. And they're like, whoa, Leo, you spoke so well. I'm like, really? I was just sharing. And they would always anticipate me sharing certain things. And yeah, little did I know that I love to be on stage. I love people. But now, wow, I have a speaking gift. I've always known I love to talk. Like I can talk to your ears off, right? But now it's not just talking. It's about pouring into someone. It's about sharing your journey, right? Sharing your stories that literally would stir up something on the inside of that person. And it causes that person to say, you know what? If you can do it, so can I. Like, I'm going to step up. I'm going to get out of this rut, right? So it was amazing to discover this gift that was like completely dormant on the inside of you. That's why I say it's so important to surround yourself with the right people. The right environment would bring the best out of you. And I learned one skill that radically changed my life forever. Until this day, I'm no longer in this business venture, but I still use the skill and I was able to literally like impact so many people in Vietnam in the most amazing manner. And I'll share that towards the end. Okay. Keep you guys on your seat right now. Yeah, so I was in the business. I was in there for 9 years. But after 9 years, I just felt God saying, hey, I'm done with you here. You've learned everything you needed to learn, and it's time to go. And I was like, okay, 9 years, right? My mentors really invested in me, and I literally thought I was going to do this for the rest of my life. But now looking back, and I realized, I think a year after I stepped out, I realized like that was just my training ground. And even though I left the business and I felt very lost, Suzanne, because I was so devoted to the business, so devoted to my team and my mentors, right? It was sad, but I just knew I was starting to feel stale. I wanted something bigger. I was speaking into the team and doing motivational talks and whatnot, but I was kind of capped. And I wanted to do something on a world basis, right? I want to impact more Asians, right? Especially in Asia. Nothing wrong with the Asians here. I love them. I want to impact everyone I meet, but I want to be exactly where God wants me. So I left 2016, 2017. I did nothing. I was literally on the shelf. I was stale. I was like rusty. It's like, God, what the heck are you doing with me? Come on. Tell me something, right? When God tells you to get out, he never tells you where to go. And I kept remembering like this phrase was ringing in my spirit. He says, get out of the boat. Get out of the boat. If you guys know the Bible at all, like remember Peter, he got out of the boat, right? And I was like, I don't want to walk on water. I don't want to get out of the boat. Tell somebody else to get out of the boat, right? But that dream, even though I left that business venture and the life of impacting other people and having this dream of having this life full of freedom, it never left me. It was still so present, so prevalent on the inside of me. I was still all about, I have to impact your life. I have to encourage you everywhere I go. I literally was still doing that on a daily basis. And then I felt like God was telling me, hey, you need to go and serve at a Burmese church, which I did, and some Nepalese churches as well. And the Nepalese church, I was serving there practically like full time. I was working just a regular job. I've been working at the attorney's offices, different attorney's offices for about 10 years. I did PI, personal injuries, so car accidents, things like that. And it was great. I had a chance to, I learned so much. I encountered amazing people. But deep down, I just knew it wasn't for me. You know, I could have made the most money I've ever made. But something was still, it was just, you feel stale. You feel stuck. I have to be in a cubicle every darn day. I have to see these people every day. And I'm grateful, but I knew it wasn't for me. So when I was serving, I literally put together programs to help Gen Zs. At the time, they were just in high schools. If you guys probably can't tell, but when I was growing up, I was very depressed. I was suicidal. I hated myself. I had so much self-loathe that you guys are, I know you're like, what, Leo, depressed? You know, look at your energy nowadays, right? But seriously, that's where I was, you guys. Throughout my high school years, I just hated myself so much. I just wanted to die. Like, I hated myself from head to toe. I never felt like I was Vietnamese enough. I never felt like I fit in anywhere because I was mixed, or I'm mixed, right? Yeah, so being able to overcome that because of this business venture, because of my mentorship, right, that I had, I became the Leo today. And all I want to do is pour confidence into other people. So I put together a program. We did a confidence workshop, 3 months. Every single youth group was radically changed. Like every single member was radically changed. Like they're so different. I had this one girl, she was always very sluggish. She's usually kind of like trite and mean to other people. She had participated in 2 of our sessions. So she started coming to a church in a very consistent manner. She loved going to church. Before it's like, I have to go to church, mom and dad, like leave me alone, that type of thing. And then 2 weeks later, her dad looked at her and like, hey, what happened to you? How come you're so nice? And she says, it's because of this program. So I knew I was onto something. I knew that God was onto something. And I just said, you know what? I would love to do this for the rest of my life, all over the world, being able to instill confidence into people who are depressed. Hey, talk to Leo. I've got some tips. I can help you, right? If you were suicidal, I can do something. And, you know, I'm jumping all around a little bit, but, you know, when I did this at church, in a matter of 3 months, with them radically changing, I said, I have to take this all over the world. I had no idea how. And at that point, you know, I was working on the side venture. So I've been saving. 2019, I had a good amount of money. So I said, goodbye, corporate America. That was the last law firm that I worked at. Smaller law firm I worked at. My boss was amazing. I already told him up front, like, I'm going to be impacting lives, Louis. So I'm just here temporarily. And he was just really excited for me. He knew, like, I'm not cut to be at a law firm. I would ask him, like, Louis, I see paperwork all over your desk. It's just papers everywhere, documents everywhere. He's like, I get excited when I see that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Lord, oh man, just looking at all that and, you know, just documents and just sitting there, it makes me feel depressed. I feel like I have to get out. I have to talk to people. I have to encourage everyone in sight. That makes me feel so alive. So the question I want to ask you guys right now is, what is it that makes you feel so alive at this point in your life, right? With whatever you're pursuing. Yeah. I'm sure if I ask Suzanne, she knows. She knows what that is, right? Like that very moment when you feel that, that's what you're cut out to do, you know? And I literally always feel so alive when I have a chance to edify somebody, pouring into somebody, that looking at them in the eyes and telling them, you can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you so much, right? I'm lending you some of my belief right now. Now take it and run with it. Dude, I'm literally having chills right now, like goosebumps, you know?
Me too.
Like, I love doing this everywhere, every time, whether it's like a manager at a resort or just someone that works at McDonald's or wherever. I love it. And then being able to speak on stage. So fast forward, I had that savings and I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to go home to Vietnam because it's been 30 years and I didn't want to have anything to do with Vietnam. Vietnam would be the last country that I would want to visit because I had this hate relationship with Vietnam where I felt like growing up, I never felt like I was Vietnamese enough. I don't really look like the typical Vietnamese. And I just had a lot of hurt growing up from my dad, from the Vietnamese people. But it was my dad's 70th birthday, you guys. And you know what year it was? 2020, right? The COVID year. And I booked my flight already. And that's another story in itself. But when I went to California to celebrate Lunar New Year, right before my trip, 2-3 weeks before my trip, everyone's like, no, we just canceled our ticket. You should too. But something that was in my spirit that was telling me I had to go. And I was tired of the US, guys. I was like, I have to get out. I have to go somewhere. I couldn't go to Hong Kong because it's my ultimate dream destination. And Suzanne knows, like, I'm utterly obsessed with Hong Kong since I was a little kid watching Hong Kong dramas, the Kung Fu and all that stuff, right? But yeah, Hong Kong is where I told myself, I'm going to go there. That's going to be my first country ever. And because I didn't have my passport, I couldn't go to Hong Kong. Okay, maybe Singapore. Maybe it'll take me. No Singapore, no Malaysia, nowhere. I could only go to Vietnam because my document allows me to go to Vietnam. And that's when I knew God was saying, Leo, if you don't go to Vietnam, you're not going anywhere, especially Hong Kong. So get yourself together and make that decision. I said, okay, I will go or whatever. So I went to Vietnam like with this excitement because I haven't seen my dad for 30 years, you guys. 30 years.
Wow.
And when I waved goodbye to him when I was 7 years old in Vietnam, I remember distinctly waving goodbye right there, right in front of the mirror, through the glass door, I mean. I never thought it would be 30 years later. But when I went to Vietnam, something sparked on the inside of me. And I never thought I would love Vietnam. I'm sure you have the stigma about Vietnam, the war and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, you guys, you've got to come to my country. I promise I can be your tour guide if you want to, right? Tour guide, food guide, everything, okay? But spectacular country. And I literally met so many digital nomads there, you guys. It's like whatever you're wanting to pursue, and I think it's such a great idea. Find a country, a place that you can live in. You can live off of $1,000, right? You can teach English, something. I mean, that's not what I was planning to do at the time, but it's going to bring in an income, you know? So it would open doors for me to start pursuing what I really want to do with my life. And that trip to Vietnam 2020, I was just going to be there for 3 months. So I got stuck there, you guys, because of COVID for a year. But it was the most spectacular, epic year of my life. Period. End of discussion. I traveled everywhere, like 7 big cities in Vietnam. I explored just magnificent views, you guys, like sitting in a coffee shop on the mountains, overlooking rice paddies, right? Sipping on coffee. Yeah, but you know what? People can look at that life, right? That view and say, wow, Leo, she's so lucky. But they don't know what I went through. They don't know the many nights that I cried, right? They don't know the struggles that I had. They don't know the struggles behind closed doors. And I think as human beings, it's so easy for us to compare, especially women. But one of my mentors said, when you look at someone who's living the life that you want, instead of comparing, being bitter, resentful, you can say, you know what? I'm in line. I'm next for that. That is going to be me. Why not? Right? But yeah, after experiencing that trip in Vietnam, I just knew that I knew. 2 months in, I already sensed it. Look, God says, you need to move to Vietnam. I'm like, what? No, I don't want to move to Vietnam. Like, it's nice. And, you know, and I have a daughter here. So it was so rough to make that decision, you guys. But I said, fine, whatever. And I told my mom thought I was crazy. Everybody in the States thought I was crazy because everybody thinks America is the dreamland, right? The American life. Let's just get great. Like, I'm so grateful, you guys. I grew up in the States. Had I not, I would never be the Leo today. Never in a million years. But it's being where you need to be and where God has called you, because that's where you're going to feel the most fulfilled and the most alive. Jeez, I feel like I'm on stage right now. What's up with that?
I'm like, please continue. Like, I want to listen to more stories. You are an excellent, excellent speaker, I have to say. And we're even talking about this before we started recording. Somebody's going to cry in here, and I already started tearing up when you shared the moment I don't know about you guys listening, but come on, like she has so much passion in her voice. Just if you're not on video, just you can hear that passion and that fire in her voice. Like, and she's meant to do this, and it really sounds like all those voices that you heard while you were in the other business ventures or in that law firm, right? It's you listen to your gut, you listen to God's voice, or doesn't matter our faith background, we all have that internal gut voice inside of us, and it has way more wisdom than we often realize. And
Yep.
I'm going to touch on about that in just a little bit, but I wanted to really thank you because, and the reason why I got teared up, because I remember the moment where I was sitting out in that terrace and I was DMing you on Instagram, this random person I never met. I'm an engineer, so engineers they're not that outgoing. And so, but just this person talking to me, and then you were like, just go for it. And that's exactly what you touched on because of that serving heart that you have to this person that you just met on Instagram. You're like, go for it. If you hear that you want to leave the job, it's like you can do it too because you've already been there. And that was exactly the voice that I needed to hear at that moment. And just hearing that story again from your point of view and now merging our two point of views right now it's just been magical. Like it's really, for me, like the universe sent us together on this random world of Instagram through Vanessa Lau, and then you were the person and the voice that I needed to hear at that moment. And because you have all that alignment inside of you and that fire inside of you, and that's you were able to impact a little me back then. And so I
Aw.
really want to thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Oh, that's so sweet, Suzanne. Like it was my honor to be able to speak into your life at that point, right? And you were ready to receive it.
Yeah.
You were like, man, I had enough. Like I'm done with this, right? I have to do something. I'm sure you felt very trapped at that point, and that entrepreneur was just ready to like crawl out, right? And you released her. And ladies and gentlemen, you see the
Yeah.
entrepreneur today, right?
Exactly.
I'm very
But
excited.
tell us more about how, oh, thank you so much. And you're just a blessing. And I'm so excited to share your voice on this platform with everybody else because I got to share, to receive that gift from you.
Thank
And,
you.
but really share a little bit more about your background. How did you really listen to that voice? You talked about a lot about listen to the voice of God telling you, but what does that sound to you like? How do you recognize it? How do you go and listen to it and really take action on it, right?
Yeah, that's really good. Great question. You're already crying. I didn't even tell you my other skill yet. Oh my gosh, you guys, somebody get her some Kleenex, okay? Grab her a couple of boxes.
All right, I got one here.
Thank you for that, Suzanne. So I feel like, okay, so I'm a Christian. And when I hear God or when I sense a prompting in my spirit, I'll give you a great example. This is like clear as day. When I sensed the prompting to book a flight to Vietnam, because none of my paperwork would allow me to go to Singapore or any other countries, right? That was the beginning of January. I think it was like January 5th or something. It was just very abrupt. It came out of nowhere. I just sensed it. It was so strong. Like I would hear it, like not audibly, but I just sensed it so strongly, right? And I was like, no, I'm not booking no ticket. Okay. So usually when I send something, I said, Lord, if this is not of you, I don't receive this, right? I'm not doing it. Next day, still there. Next day, it's still there. And it would linger in your spirit, right? Throughout the whole day, the whole night. And if you guys don't know anything about God, he's pretty persistent. Right? When he says you need to get out of the boat and go to the other side, you will go to the other side, whether you like it or not, right? And you could go like within days or weeks or like Moses, 40 years, you know what I mean? So yeah, I struggled with that prompting for, I think, a couple of days. I've been a Christian since I was 7 in the Philippines. So by now I've got some experience under my belt regarding the Lord, right? And how he works. So I booked the ticket, you guys, and you won't believe it. This is so God. It was late at night. I booked a round trip, and guess how much it was? $650, my friend. And I did not
Whoa,
fly on the
to
wing.
Vietnam?
Yeah, I did not fly on the wing. I flew inside of the aircraft, okay? What the heck? Why is it this price? And you guys know flying to Vietnam from Atlanta at that point, it would be usually around 1,500, right? 2,000, right, Suzanne? Easily. 650. I'm like, okay, what the heck? I booked it, right? And I even said, okay, If it's not you, tomorrow I will cancel it. If the prompting is gone, I would just cancel the ticket. But you guys, I felt so much peace. So when peace guides you, you're just like, whew, I feel relieved. Yeah, and where can I find a flight round trip to Vietnam for $650? You guys, I don't know. I'm sure the Holy Spirit was like doing something magical on the internet, right? Causing it to have some sort of connection, or like, oh, website lagging, give Leo an amazing deal. So yeah, you guys, it was a real flight. I went there and
Holy cow! Were you back in one? Were you there in one piece? Like,
I did. I even stopped in Taiwan and had a boba as well. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So that is, and normally if it's not from God, or you rebuke it. You're like, no, I'm not receiving this. I'm not doing it. Right? Yeah.
yeah,
I know it's hard, but it
that's
just takes practice. And maybe I can give
yeah.
another suggestion. I remember sometimes when I'm driving, I would sense God telling me, okay, you need to go straight, Leo. Don't make this right turn on the highway. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I need to take the highway because it's faster, right? So lo and behold, I made a turn on the highway, and guess what happened? Traffic jam. See, it's like in the most minute
Wow.
things, I know that God cares so much about me. So if he cares about me being stuck in traffic, why would he not care about my life? And you know what? I've learned, you guys, whatever God has placed on the inside of you, it's meant to come out. All your gifts, all your talents, all your abilities, it's meant to come out, right? So that you can live and fulfill your purpose, your calling, and to serve other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And you're so right. It's like that voice from God, and I heard this from Manifestation Babe. She explains the voice of the ego, or the voice of the fear, is a voice that is very reactive. It's almost like jittery. It's almost like jerky. And it's like that voice of, oh, I want to do that. Oh, but what if? And then it comes in the back end. But then
Yep.
the voice of God, or the voice of the universe, or our soul, is really the voice that is calm. And you touched on that peaceful voice that you don't know where that peace is coming from. But it just feels right, even though your logical mind tells you there's no reason why you should listen to it. But it's a
Yeah.
voice that's calm, that's coming from inside,
Yep.
right? How does that voice sound to you? Like, does it come? Do you hear the words? Like, how do you hear it? Like, how does it present to you?
You're going to start having me preach here, okay?
Do it.
Yeah. So usually it's like when the voice of the Holy Spirit. So some people, they would hear audibly, you guys, like they literally would hear an audible voice, right? But it's really rare. For me, it's like a prompting in my spirit down here, like by my gut. Like last Friday, I just sensed so strongly. I can sense the Lord saying, you need to get into this trade. It is about to rip. And I got to the trade, I turned off my phone, right? Like whatever, and it ripped. Like it ripped 30 points for this one particular ticker, right? And normally I would be in so much fear. I just like I'm very reactive, and I literally could have walked away with 3-4 grand last week or a week and a half ago, but
Wow.
I didn't do it, right? The voice of fear, even though I've been doing it for two years, you know what I mean? I was like, God, I promise this week I am going to get better. You're like, lead me, God. Yeah. And I'm so glad, like here, my phone's away. I'm just chatting and having a great time with Suzanne. I just know I am in the right trade. All is well,
Yes.
Yeah. But I would say
Absolutely.
learn how to
Yeah.
practice sensing and hearing from God on a daily basis in the smallest things, not big things. Because if you don't learn how to hear him in the small things, how can you hear him in the big things? Like if I had not had all these times where I would listen to him about traffic, or, hey, you shouldn't eat that. That's not really good for you, right? Didn't you say you're on a diet or something like that, right? Just the smallest little things. Then I would not be able to hear him when he says, you need to book that flight. You need to go to Vietnam. And little did I know that going to Vietnam opened up this whole universe that I was never aware of. You know, how chill it is in Vietnam, how laid back it is, right? How much cheaper it is, especially for new entrepreneurs like me. And I met some incredible people. I met this film director, right, who's from LA, living in Vietnam. He's been there for 13 years. I met him randomly at a coffee shop. We chatted for an hour and a half and he was standing there. I was like, dude, had I known that I was going to chat with you, I literally was just going to say hello. Like, hi, where are you from? Because I usually ask the foreigners where they're from. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much for being in my country. I really appreciate it because I just want to make them feel special, right? So Ham stood up. He
Oh
stood
my God.
by the wall right there for an hour and a half. I was like, I should have asked you to sit down. I'm so sorry, Ham. But yeah, we're friends to this day. And I'm just so grateful. Like we went out to dinner. He introduced me to other producers, other film directors, you guys, who's been at it for 25 years. If I was still in the States, living in fear and doubt and wasn't sure, then I would never have had that divine connection, right? Just step out, you guys. Like, what could you lose? And when I felt the prompting of God saying, Leo, you need to move to Vietnam, right? This tug of war. I've been living here for 30 something years. This is all I know. But then at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? When I move, and if it doesn't work out, I can always come back. The U.S. is still here. Like, your job will always be here. Come back to your job. Come back to another company, right? In the same field. It will always be here. If you don't step out, you would never know. Period. End of discussion. You're always going to be like, what if I did that? Oh, man, I should have. I hate that phrase. I should have freaking stayed in that trade. I would have made $5,000 today. Oh my gosh. And like even my mentor last week, she's like, God told me specifically to go heavy on this position. When she woke up, she was up $1,000. She could have been up $12,000, you guys. I'm like, you know what? If she lost $12,000, it's okay for me to lose $3,000. And she's been at it for like 15 years, right? See how hard-headed we are at times, and like God's wanting to bless us. So like, if you're hearing me today, the only thing that you need to take away is just do it now. Why not? Why not you? You deserve it, man. You deserve to live an epic life. That's it.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you're right. God, the universe, that gut feeling, that gut voice inside of you, it will never go away until you take some action. And it's going to keep on prompting you. It's going to keep on, hey, it's like, this is not meant for me. Hey, I feel like I'm meant for something bigger. And it will just never go away until you take that action, because you're meant for something bigger, and you're listening to us because you hear that voice already, right? And so just another perspective of how Leo did it. And it's very, very, very interesting to me that you had already had some entrepreneurship experience while you were in the corporate world. And because also you listened to your voice, you listened to your gut, and then you found some mentors who were able to guide you along that path, then that would propel you even further when you did leave the 9 to 5 altogether and really be in business full time. Right? It's about finding those mentors. And if you can talk us through a little bit more, like the last job where you were still in the law firm, and how did you walk yourself through? You touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more detail. How did you walk yourself through, okay, I'm meant for no more 9 to 5, I'm meant to serve. How did you walk yourself through that process?
Like, how did I endure being there, you're saying?
Or what kind of emotions came up? Any kind of nervousness? Or what happened during that time of Leo?
Yeah. So, okay, the last firm, second to the last firm I worked at, I was there for 2+ years. And toward the very end, I was just miserable, you guys. I started to feel so much stress, and I was just feeling blah, like going into work. But yeah, I'm receiving this paycheck, right? And I was working for one of the biggest firms in Atlanta. 35 attorneys, blah, blah, blah. We get holiday party every year. So what? Right? It was just, I didn't feel happy. Yeah. I just felt like something is missing. And I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. If you have something that's like scratching at your soul, right? At your heart, tugging at your heart, then you know what I mean. But I just had to keep the job. But at the same time, I was growing myself. I was reading books, right? Listening to podcasts. And especially when people talk about living this life of freedom, pursuing things that you love, making an impact, that would always light something up on the inside of me. Like, I'm like, leave me alone. Maybe I can't do this entrepreneur thing, God. Like, I already left this business venture, right? And with a very clueless state of mind. But it just wouldn't leave me alone, even to this day. I had to move back to the States. I'll tell you that in a little bit. And I'm back working a 9 to 5, but I just know this is so short lived. Yesterday, I was in an Uber, you guys. Hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, where are you heading to? I'm like, I'm going to work. He's like, you look too happy to be going into work. You know, it looks like you're about to go to a spa or something. And I was like, no, I'm going into work. And I was like, I just know I'm so grateful for the position I have now in this company. But I just know it's just temporary. It's setting the stage for me to finalize everything here in the States in 2 years, and I am gone. I will be living in Hong Kong, traveling all over Asia, sipping on amazing coffees in Vietnam in the mountaintops, right? And remind me to give you guys this one thing that I always do when I feel super discouraged. Remind me of that, okay, Suzanne? Yeah.
I will.
Okay, I'm losing my train of thought as I'm thinking about sipping on coffee in Vietnam here.
Living in Hong Kong, sipping on coffee, you're gonna 2 years temporary for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though I'm in this job, I'm okay. And I told myself I'm gonna give my very best. So if you guys are still in some sort of job, you guys give your very best, right? Serve your employers, be excellent, work with integrity. Because if God can't trust you with, let's say, I was working at that law firm for it was 150 people. And guess what? I outgrew all 150 people. That's why God says, I can trust Leo with more people. But if you're working at the company, you have one manager. But if for me, back in the day, right? Always disrespectful. I'm gossiping about my manager. I don't show up to work on time and blah, blah, blah. How can God trust me with like 30 people or 50 people? Because if God can trust you with 50 people, he knows either you're going to help them or you're going to hurt them, right? They're looking at your example like, what the heck? Why is Leo like that? You know what I mean? Yeah, how many people you could hurt is also how many people you can help. And that is a quote from Joyce Meyer. She's one of my favorite preachers. So if you're still complaining like, how come I can't get out of this yet? In the past few years, I've been away from the corporate job for I think 4 or 5 years now. And I'm back and I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's something else I need to learn. That's okay. I'm taking a few steps back, right? In order to take 10 steps forward and leap and fly and soar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So get excited. Like, wow, I'm so grateful I have this job, God. Like yesterday it was so boring, you guys, so slow. I was so tempted to complain. I was like, nope. I'm so grateful I have this job. I know it's temporary, but I know I'm going to be going to Hong Kong. I'm going to Vietnam. I literally talked to all the customers about Vietnam, Hong Kong, and Asia. And deep down in my heart, I'm like, ooh, I'm going soon. This is just temporary. That answers your question.
I love that. It does. It does. And that's your unique perspective that you bring on, the attitude that you bring to work. Like even that Uber driver telling you, like, you're way too happy to go to work, right? Normally we think of people in a 9 to 5, they should be disgruntled employee, but then that's because of your unique perspective. You see the gift in everything. There's an opportunity in everything, even though you may see it as a setback, but I think it's the step that you need for you to soar into the next level, right? And so my mom, and your story reminded me of what my mom always shared with me is be the employee so that when you leave, they will miss you. Yep. And they will notice the difference without you. And that was always the mantra that I led when I was working there. And I just gave it my all. And even though, yes, I was not happy, I was not frustrated with the people around me, but I always gave it my all. And because of that attitude, and I'm sure for you too, Leo, is like I was able to bring on that with me because that's my own soft skill. And that's what I learned from the corporate world. And I could have never done any other ways. I don't want to change my past for anything else because that's how I became who I am today. And same thing for you, Leo, with being in America and then now back in America and then the next chapter for years to go back to Hong Kong and to Vietnam and back to Asia, right? So everything happens for us, and you it's so beautiful to see your own perspective into all these different chapters because you always had that faith inside of you. Thank you. To know that you're meant for something more, and you take on so much faith to listen to that to God's voice speaking to you.
Thank you.
And to lead you that way. So thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. And I have to apologize to the audience. Sometimes when you're speaking, you just get so excited. You're literally jumping everywhere, right? Like Vietnam, Hong Kong, China, blah, blah, blah. But my heart is right, and you can feel the excitement in my voice. And that's all you need to know.
Yes. Please don't ever apologize for being who you are. And you're just the amazing person that you are. And God sees that
Thank you.
too. And it's just a blessing to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank
And
you.
you wanted me to remind you of that one thing that you do when you get discouraged.
Yeah. So we're approaching an hour of like 45 minutes already. What? We just started. You know what, Suzanne? We need to do a 2-hour conversation today.
You have to
right?
come back. I feel like there's so much more I need to dive into. Like I have so many more questions for you.
Aw, thank you. So, okay, whenever I feel so discouraged and just done with everything, and then I ask myself, Leo, if you stay stuck now, you are going to miss out this amazing, because I always imagine myself like traveling to Bali, being in Hong Kong, meeting the movie stars that I loved for so many years, right? And I'm quite bougie, so I like to go to like beautiful resorts and like overlooking amazing views. So that rings in my spirit big time. Because when I was in the business, my uplines or mentors would always paint a picture for me. Like, imagine this, Leo. Imagine this. So if you get stuck in disappointment, discouragement, bitterness, right? Comparison, all of the nonsense, all the toxic emotions, and just wanting to give up, you'll miss out on that, Leo. You'll miss out on being in Bali, enjoying this awesome breakfast, right, in the pool. You'll miss out. So I take myself there immediately. You have to be able to create some sort of emotions tied to your dreams that would just like yank you up. Like, no, I'm not missing out on this. Or a mentor painted a picture of us, like she's in a trade, she wakes up, oh, $8,000 done for the morning before 8:30 in the morning, right? Like, I'll miss out. So what is that for you? You have to have that, guys. Otherwise, it's so easy to be discouraged. Whatever dreams, goals, and desires you have, the devil is alive and well. He'll attack. Right? He's not going to roll out the red carpet. Oh, go ahead, Suzanne. Walk down this. I won't bother you. It doesn't happen. You know? Yeah. So.
Yeah. I love that. It's allow yourself to dream. And I was in that place too when I was in the corporate world. I was feeling so stuck. I didn't even know that I could dream, or I didn't even know that I could use my imagination. I haven't used my imagination in so long when I was in corporate. And because of that disconnection, I felt stuck. And you bring on such a good point is and I always say this, as adults, we're emotionally constipated. And so, because as kids, when we look at kids or look at children, they go poop or they go to the toilet, and then we celebrate them. We're like, oh my God, like good job, right? And then as adults, we don't celebrate ourselves anymore. It's like, even as adult, if you had a good poop, I want to say this on the internet, yes, celebrate yourself for that. And it's just like being back in that child and dreaming and imagining, because that's what's allow us to push forward and to come up with these visualizations that we want. We always have that secret desire. It's like, if only I won the lottery, I would do that, right? That is your imagination, and that is your visualization speaking to you.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why any of us cannot achieve that secret desire.
Yep.
And the question for me is like that I would ask myself, how do I get there? And for you, Leo, what you said is keep on imagining it, because that's gonna bring you and change your state from that stuckness to having that hope or that vision. And then that's when you can ask yourself, how can I get there? And that's what allows us to create all these changes that we had come across, and really want all of you listening to us right now. Just you hear that voice, you hear you're meant to do more, and it's there for a reason. And all you have to do is to keep on visualizing and keep on asking how.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much power in our imagination, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, Leo, thank you. We're coming to the end of our first session.
Oh my
For sure
gosh, I'm gonna cry. I literally had a talk prepared for 2 hours, Suzanne. I'm just kidding.
That's why we need to get you to come back. I always end the podcast with the same question to all my guests. for anybody listening to us, they hear that nudge, they hear that voice, they're meant for something more. What is that one recommendation that you would give them?
One, I have like so many. Just do it, you guys. What do you have to lose? Right? Just do it. What do you have to lose? It's a new year. I didn't know this until I went to Vietnam. So there are a lot of people pursuing their side hustles on the side. So Vietnam, apparently, and many other Asian countries too, I'm sure, they're in high demand of teachers, English teachers. So a lot of people would move to Vietnam because it's very cheap to live there. They're an English teacher. They make a little bit less, but it's way more than you need to live in Vietnam. And at the same time, they're pursuing their passion, right? And if you do it for a year or two and it doesn't work, you did it. You tried. You can look back and say, you know what? I stepped out of the boat. I did walk on water. And I moved to Vietnam. Now I'm back here. People can say, well, guess she didn't make it. I don't care. I don't give a rip. I did it. And I'm here rolling my sleeves up, right? Getting my setback ready for an amazing comeback. Had I known about Vietnam like 10 years ago in terms of teaching English, guys, I would have totally done it. Because I was like, how can I not have to pay so many bills, right? So I can pursue my passion and dreams. So that's one way. I wasn't planning to say it, but I was like, I just sensed this nudge, like you should just share it with them. Perhaps this is something someone's been looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah, and you can do it. Right? And today, me and Suzanne, we just want to look into your eyes right now. Like imagine us look into your eyes right now and tell you, we believe in you. You absolutely have whatever it takes to make things happen, right? To get the job done, period. Okay?
Oh, I love that. Giving me chills. I would definitely need to bring Leo back. Leo, of course, if anybody wanted to come look for you, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram. I know my name is a little bit lengthy, so I'm going to spell out for you guys, okay? It's nhatly, and then the word official. So that is actually my Vietnamese name. It's like a double name type of thing, but you guys call me Leo. I was actually named after Leo DiCaprio, and we do have the same initials, by the way, okay? So that you can remember. Oh, you never meet another female Leo, all right? But absolutely thrilled to be on today. Suzanne, thank you so much. I know that you're well connected to many entrepreneurs out there, and you could have chosen anyone, but you thought of me. And it just gives me such honor and such pleasure to be able to speak into your audience. And that tells me like you trust me. You trust me to share the right things at the right time. Whatever it is that I share today, I know they needed to hear it. Even if it's just one word or one phrase, right? But I loved it. We had so much fun. I was getting a little bit nervous. And that voice was telling me, you should just tell Suzanne, maybe we can reschedule or something. Like you're not feeling that well. You know? I was like, shut up. I am going to slay this podcast today with Suzanne, and I'm going to share whatever it is that God placed. Yeah, seriously, you guys, like 20 minutes in. And sometimes when you allow fear to talk to you, it's stupid, right? It sounds so dumb. Like 20 minutes before podcast, I'm going to call the person or text her and say I'm not available, right? So, but yeah, I'm really excited about what you're doing, Suzanne. I know, and I can tell by looking into your eyes that you are so thrilled to be where you are today. And you're like, oh, finally I stepped out, right? Like these people have been waiting for you, Suzanne. And whoever you're coaching and mentoring, right? They've been waiting for you because you were willing to step out. You guys, she was willing to step out of the boat, to walk on water so that she can cater to you. So if you're being mentored or coached by Suzanne, definitely take advantage of her time, right? Value her time. Whatever she's suggesting for you to do it, man, right? Run with it. Because I heard this one quote says, when someone gives you their time, they're giving you a portion of their lives. And Suzanne is literally giving you portions of her life on this podcast, right? On Instagram when she's coaching you. So make her proud. You should tell Suzanne every time when you have a coaching call, right? Or when she's pouring into you, Suzanne, I know it's going to be hard. I'm having all these emotions. I'm not sure. I'm iffy, blah, 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 blah. But you should say, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make you proud. Right? I always told my mentor that I would look them into the eyes and say, I will make you proud. I'm going to get the job done. I told my manager that, dude. I literally do things that I did in that project here at this business. This job. Right? And they're like, oh, you know what? We don't even hear this. It's so foreign. You know, why is she so excited about all this stuff? Right? It just spreads. Like, it's in me, you guys. It has to come out. I told my manager, I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to get the system. They're literally starting to like branch out and do things that they never do. And she would say, yeah, I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. Right? There's this one skill that I have yet to share with you guys, and I love to share it next time. You're literally going to change like radically for you and people in your life, whether it's your family, mentees that you have, people you're coaching. I'm telling you, within 3-4 days, you're going to notice a huge difference in them. It doesn't for me, after Vietnam and after doing this program, I've learned that it doesn't take months or years for you to change or for you to help kind of like mold and shape somebody. If you do it right, if you do it well, if you do it with the right heart, an hour and a half, a week. Absolutely. And their families are literally saying, what happened to you? You're so different. And they can look back and say, you know what? It's because of my mentor. You. Right? So you guys are so blessed to have Suzanne. Make things happen, you guys. Okay? And I'm really thrilled for you. And you're going to look back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you're going to say, you know what? I'm so excited because I stepped out because I listened to Suzanne's podcast. Right? So let's do it, man. Let's go. Okay? Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne.
Oh my God, Leo, you're a blessing to all of us. It was God's message that we connected again a few weeks ago. And then that's when I was working on the podcast. I'm like, you have to get on the podcast. It was, again, another divine intervention from God for us to talk again. We haven't talked in a while, actually. Mm-hmm. And you're a gift to us all.
Thank you.
For anybody who is listening to Leo to really take that leap forward, both of us would love to hear from you, because that's what we're all here for you to really create that impact for you moving forward. And we'd love to hear some feedback from you. So
yeah, absolutely. Yes. DM me, DM Suzanne. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Leo.
My pleasure. And I'll see you next time.
We'll definitely schedule another time. Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you tomorrow. That's right. Bye, everybody.